Hey, Nicki Sanders here. And if you're like me and any of the women that I coach, mentor, and lead, you've been carrying more than your fair share for a very long time. So today we are going to pause because I want to ask you a clarifying question. What have you been holding that was never yours to carry? Not in theory, not as a metaphor. What have you been holding that was never yours to carry in your body, in your spirit, in your inbox, on your task list? What have you been holding that was never yours to carry? So, not so long ago, right? I was being praised for being mature and responsible and dependable, strong, capable. And here's what I had to realize. People weren't praising my leadership as much as they were praising my self-sacrifice, because that's what was happening. It was self-sacrifice. I was doing what needed to be done to get things done. I was taking on extra projects. I was staying late. I was saying yes when I should have said no, and saying no when I should have said yes. And all of those things became a heavy weight and a burden. They were preventing me from being all I needed to be. And here's the truth. Nobody asked me to carry it. Well, let's backtrack. Nobody asked me to carry all of it. Some of it I chose to carry on my own out of fear, out of this idea that only I could do it. And then some of it was given to me, sometimes unfairly, to carry, but I accepted it and said yes. So if that sounds familiar to you, this is not the time to bash yourself. That's not what we're here for. But we do want to take a moment to just be honest and accept that we've been carrying things that we don't have to carry. Whether we accepted them or whether we jumped in head first, right? We have been carrying and holding those things that were not ours. And that looks like a lot of things in a lot of different capacities. One thing it looks like is the weight that you carry when you're the only one in the room, the only one in the room. It looks like having to shrink yourself, right, in order to not outshine other people. It looks like having to do this emotional balancing of people with huge egos and emotional fragility because they are intimidated by your brilliance, or they can't possibly understand how you could have these great ideas and then you have to shrink, right, all of your assets and strengths. And that's unfair, right? You're carrying things that didn't belong to you. And we've been doing it for such a long time that it feels natural. It felt natural. It felt natural because of generational expectations. It felt natural because of societal beliefs. It felt natural because of stereotypes. But it's heavy, and it's been heavy, and it's been weighing you down for quite some time. And you haven't felt like yourself, because who are you under the burden of all of these things that you've been carrying that were never yours to begin with? You are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And who do you then have to share that burden with? Who do you then call on when it gets too heavy for you? What happens when you think about putting it down, but you don't know where to put it because you have been the person, the glue, the fixer, the problem solver for so long? We've taken on projects that we weren't ours to begin with, but we've also taken on titles, and I just gave you a few of them. The fixer, the glue, right? You're the person who's holding it all together. People are praising you because they can't understand how you get things done with so little support, or with so little resources, or with so little time. You're out here making magic. And as you are making magic, you are weighing yourself down more and more and more. It is too heavy for you to keep carrying these burdens. It's unfair and it's unnecessary. Even if in the beginning you were like, I'm being validated. You know, people see me. They understand that I'm working hard. They know that They can count on me or depend on me. It might have felt good in the beginning, but it doesn't feel good anymore. So I'm going to read some questions that I wrote down because I want you to really stop, pause, and think about them, right? Because if we're talking about carrying things that were never ours to carry, the solution is kind of to release them, right? So we want to release them, and we don't have to release them all today. We're not looking for quickness. We're not trying to run this race of, this has to happen now, because the truth is you didn't start carrying everything at the same time. It happened over time. And so it's okay if the release also happens over time. The thing that's important is that we get started now. So here are the questions. All right. What version of me had to say yes to survive, and is she still in charge? Think about that. Think about it, and probably journal about it too. So I'm going to read it again because there's an airplane and there's some folks talking. What version of me had to say yes to survive, and is she still in charge? Whose disappointment am I afraid of? What expectation am I upholding that was never mine? What fear is fueling this "I'll do it myself" mindset? Because we are famous for getting it done and doing it on our own, because we are not going to ask anybody else. Because who is the person that we're going to ask? Who can we depend on when everyone else can depend on us? And what am I pretending not to know so I don't have to make a change? That one may be the hardest one. What am I pretending not to know so I don't have to make a change? So I would love for you to stop and think about those questions and take some time to journal them. So I'm going to read them again. What version of me had to say yes to survive, and is she still in charge? Whose disappointment am I afraid of? What expectation am I upholding that was never mine? What fear is fueling this "I can do it by myself" mindset? And what am I pretending not to know so I don't have to make a change? Listen, you're the peacekeeper, you're the role model, you're the cultural translator. People go to you when they have questions about your culture, your history, your background, right? That is a huge weight for you to carry. If you are the person in the family that is the peacekeeper, the coordinator, you're getting everybody together and trying to get people to forgive and connect, that's a huge burden. If you are at work and you are the one who is leading all of the projects, your name is on everybody's list at the top of the list because these things all belong to you. That is a huge burden. It's unfair, it's unnecessary, and it's not yours to carry. So we are going to start our release today. We're starting our release today. All right. Again, you don't have to fix it all at once, but we do have to get started. So choose a thing. What thing came up for you in any of the time watching this video? What thing came up for you that you can say, no longer, not mine, I'm over it, I'm done, take it back, you can have it, no ma'am, right? What is the thing? It can be a small thing, it could be a huge thing. It could be saying no to the project that you knew you didn't need to take on anyway. It could be asking someone else to go to the grocery store instead of you doing it. It could be letting someone else plan the family reunion, right? Whatever it is, where are you going to start? But start today. Release something, one thing, big or small. Release one thing. And if you have to first release it on paper to then get to the point of releasing it in real life, do that too. But whatever you need to do to lighten your burden, it's time to lighten the burden. It's time to share the load, right? And what does that look like in real life, right? You can't just, all of a sudden, I'm done, it's over, stop, everybody get away. You kind of can, but you likely won't. So that can look like resting without apology. It could look like declining an invitation. It can look like saying, I can't take that on right now. It can look like saying, no, I'm not going to attend, I can't participate. It can look like saying no without over explaining yourself. All of those things will lead to deeper and deeper release because it's going to become a habit, right? We had this habit of carrying. Now we have to develop this habit of releasing and not accepting new things that don't belong to us in its place. So start with one thing today, because we're starting today. Why? Because you deserve to feel light, because you deserve to be free, because you deserve to be and feel whole, and not carrying someone else's expectations and someone else's myths and stereotypes and ideas and burdens. You deserve to be 100% authentically you, that version of you that feels excited to just be. You get to come home to yourself. You get to come home to yourself. Give yourself permission to release and come home to yourself. I would love to know what about this video resonated with you. Please share in the comments. If you want to share the thing that you decided to release so I can support you in that, please let me know, because I'm definitely going to cheer for you if you share that. And please share this video with your sister friends and leaders who need this message, because we have been carrying things that were not ours to carry for way too long. It's time to release. See you in the next video. This is Nicki Sanders. Bye.